multitude of sense perceptions in any given moment. Any given moment. Sounds, sights, smells, and so on. We are the ones who stop looking because we think we already know something. As the adage goes, I know it like the back of my hand. Let's take another look at that part of our body we think we know so well. Look at your non-dominant hand. What do you see? Look with an open, curious mind as if you had never seen it before. Notice all the colors, shapes,
Okay, just a minute,
lines,
I'm going to start this.
textures, and shadows. Look for at least 5 minutes. The more you look, the more you see. Add touch, smell, and taste to your investigation. From your exploration, make a creation, visual, written, musical, or in movement, based on your observations. What did you discover? Each observation provides more detailed information about your hand. Eventually, you may reach a point where words drop away altogether, and you just see its unique isness. As the title of artist Robert Irwin's biography suggests, seeing is forgetting the name of the thing one sees. With that level of attention, an intimacy develops between you and the object. You might even fall in love. Making sense of the world through our senses. While perceptions are limitless, the capabilities of our sense organs are not. For example, we can't hear the pitch range that a dog can hear or smell as acutely as one. As we age, we may lose our hearing or sense of smell. So what we perceive is always a limited slice of reality. We adapt, often filling in the gaps with our assumptions, like an amputee might experience a phantom limb. We try to make sense of the world through our perceptions, which are colored by our thoughts, creating our version of reality, a relative truth. The brain acts as a gatekeeper to our sensory experience. It filters the input from our sense organs further, depending on where we place our conscious attention. How often have you driven a familiar route and not been aware of any of it, lost in thought about something else? When we are distracted by our thoughts, we miss vital information from our senses, like the exit ramp you missed while thinking about what you will say when you get to your friend's house. It's important to realize we are always selectively relating to the world. What we presume is reality is only a small slice of the truth. Our sense perceptions provide valuable feedback as we create. Visual artists improve their ability to draw by learning to see the subtleties of line, shape, color, and texture. Likewise, a musician cultivates a discerning ear for sounds. Increasing your sensory awareness is essential for art mastery, whatever the medium. It might even make us better drivers. Activity, visual awareness. Where you place your awareness determines what you perceive. We'll use visual perception as sight is a dominant sense for most people. Our eyes record whatever is in front of them, like a camera, but it is our awareness that registers what is seen. This exercise will make this clear. Look directly in front of you with a relaxed gaze, not focusing on anything in particular. Your eyes simply perceive whatever is there. Without moving your eyes, shift your awareness around the field of view. Start by paying attention to what is above the horizon line in front of you. What do you see? How high can you identify distinct details without moving your eyes? Shift your attention to the right. What do you see on your right without moving your eyes? Shift your awareness to the lower half of what is in front of you. Notice that with this shift, what you saw above the horizon line is less distinct. Then shift your awareness to the left. Now bring your awareness back to the front. Close your eyes. Notice any after images, patterns, or colors. Reopen your eyes and focus on one small detail in your field of view. How does this affect what you see? Now notice the space around that detail. How does this alter your vision? Shift your awareness between foreground and background of one object in your field of view. How does this change your perception? What did you discover about vision and awareness with this exercise? The mind stands in the way of the eye. Arthur Stern, painter. This is a great exercise, particularly for photographers. It's important to look around the perimeter of the camera's viewfinder before taking a picture to be sure that only what you want to photograph is in the picture. Tunnel vision is a problem for photographers. Being so intent on a small detail in the distance, like a bird in a tree, your mind ignores everything else. Afterward, when you look at the picture, the bird vanishes in the foliage. It was so prominent in your awareness when you took the picture. That is why photography is a great way to hone your visual awareness. The camera does not have your brain attached to it, filtering the world. What is in front of the lens is what it captures indiscriminately. We'll explore this further in future exercises. Activity. Sensory wander. Now we have seen how awareness is an essential part of our sensory experience. For your next activity, take a walk in your neighborhood, placing your attention on what engages your senses. To synchronize your mind and body before starting your walk, take several deep breaths with eyes closed. Feel your breath moving your body and notice the sounds around you. Open your eyes and walk outside. Relax into your physical sensations. Whenever your mind drifts away from that awareness, take a breath and reconnect to your senses. Aimlessly wander for at least 20 minutes around your neighborhood or a park with no particular route or goal in mind. Just go where you are drawn to in the moment. Be curious. Notice sensations as they arise and observe which perception is vivid enough to draw your attention. It might be the texture and color of a wall, music from a restaurant, or the scent of a flower, for example. Let curiosity be your guide, investigating further things that either attract or repel you. Whatever it is, spend a few minutes just appreciating your experience of it. Then let go. Return to the sensations of your body walking until a new sense perception piques your interest. There's no need to hunt for the next perception. Just walk until you are drawn to something new. Let your impressions from the walk become the subject of a creative act when you return home. What was your experience? Which, if any, sense was dominant during the walk? Were there any surprises? If so, what were they? How did you feel after the walk? Consider doing more wanders, attending to one sense at a time. Notice your sense perceptions throughout the day, while eating a meal, talking with friends, taking a shower, or just sitting. Just take a couple minutes to be fully present with all the sensations in your body. What impact does this have on your week? Cultivating sensory awareness. We can bring awareness to our senses at any moment. We may hear the sound of crickets, feel the ache in our fingers, smell freshly cut grass, see the vivid red of a flower, or taste the bitterness of black coffee. Each sensation provides new information about the world, valuable feedback, direct and simple, to use in our creative process. While feeling a sensation can be simple, discerning what we perceive can be muddled by our thinking. As we grow, we edit our sensory awareness, filtering input based on survival needs, past experience, personal preferences, and social conditioning. We try to avoid unpleasant experiences. Sensations, however, include pain and pleasure, beauty and ugliness. Our senses do not discriminate in their feedback. Our minds do. We would rather smell the roses than the compost pile, see a sunset than roadkill. So our minds filter our awareness based on past experience, leading us to not know and experience sensations. Being sensitive means that, as humans, we process our world through our sense perceptions and our emotional responses. When we dissociate either form of feeling, we lose touch with a vital part of ourselves. So it is important to feel your physical sensations and your emotions to make a clear and direct creative expression. Greater awareness allows more information to pass through our filters. This leads to more skillful choice making. We can notice how our thoughts and assumptions distort reality, jumping to conclusions based on past experience. Our memory banks are like libraries we constantly reference to make sense of the world. The substitution of past experience for direct perception can muddy our creative expressions. Let's see how this works in the next activity. Activity: touch drawing. With this activity, you'll explore how your mind makes sense of a physical object only through touch. As accurately as possible, you'll translate your touch sensations into a visual form. Notice when you are referring to your actual experience and when you are making assumptions based on past experience or associations with other objects. Paying attention to your thought process as you draw is more important than the quality of the completed drawing. Materials needed: small mystery object, brown paper bag, and a pencil or pen. Enlist the help of a friend or family member to place a small object, at least the size of an apple, into a paper bag without telling you what it is. No peeking. Without looking into the bag, use your non-dominant hand to feel the object. Even if you can guess what it is, drop naming it and return to the actual feeling of the object. What are its qualities? Hard, soft, smooth, rough, organic, geometric, symmetrical, asymmetrical? Draw the object in detail with your dominant hand as you touch the surface with your other hand. Add more detail with each new impression. Draw multiple views as needed to show all your discoveries. When you are done, take out the object and compare it to your drawings. Notice how you used your senses and mind to figure out what was there and translate it into your drawing. How is the drawing representative of your sensory experience? How did the sensation differ from the drawing? Were there any surprises? If so, what? What did you learn in the process? If you guessed what it was, did it help or hinder your ability to draw the object? Did you stop touching the object and just render an approximation of it? If you didn't guess, how did that affect the experience and your skill in rendering the object? Sensory awareness prompts. Feeling awareness takes slowing down the thinking process to notice relationships between things, contrast, shapes, colors, space, rhythms, patterns, echoes or after effects, shadows, reflections, sounds, smells, tastes, the beginning, middle, and end as the sensation shifts over time, the fluidity of experience. Expressing your sensory experience. Have you ever noticed how certain colors are vibrant and certain sounds are joyful? Through our senses, we receive energetic messages from the world. This energy feeds us emotionally, spiritually, and aesthetically. We use our sensory experiences as creative inspiration. How you perceive will influence what you express. That expression becomes its own sensory experience. Even if we could replicate an inspirational moment, no two people will feel it the same way. Here are a few creative activities inspired by sensory experience. Activity. Sense. This experience can be done at any time or place when you want to connect your inner and outer worlds through sensory awareness. Sit quietly until you notice a sensation. Write the first words that come to mind from the sensation. The more direct the statement, the better. This is not about mulling over the right words. Just write whatever pops into your head from the experience, whether it makes sense to you or not. Notice another sensation and write another line. You choose how many lines and when the poem feels complete. Read what you have written and contemplate how the combination of sensations and words reflects where you were in that moment. sensory experience is seldom limited to one sense at a time. Let's look at how our senses overlap and support each other. We'll play with pairing the senses to see what happens when translating one sense's experience into another's expression. This phenomenon is referred to as synesthesia. For our purposes, just allow your imagination to play with the idea. As with all these exercises, let your response be spontaneous and intuitive rather than analytical. There are no bad responses. Draw the sounds you hear. Make sounds for the textures you feel. Take a bite of something and move your body in response to the taste. What is the smell of a color? Imagine the flavor of a sound. Make up your own combinations. Have fun. Refreshing your awareness. Imagine drawing without looking at either your subject or the drawing. What if you made music without hearing the notes being played? You'd miss valuable feedback to determine what to do next. The information you receive from the world changes constantly, so it is important to update your awareness with fresh perceptions over and over in the creative process. Continue to be curious. We can trust our sensations. Awareness of them is innate and can be refined with time and attention. We can be awake in our creative process and bring that heightened awareness to our whole life. Practice. A sensual feast. Eating a meal is an opportunity to engage all your senses creatively, updating your awareness with new perceptions along the way. When done mindfully, it feeds you not just physically, but also aesthetically. Prepare a one-bowl meal, hot or cold, such as cereal, a salad, or stew. Appreciate the sensual qualities of the utensils, bowl, and each ingredient in the process. Set the table simply. Place the food in a bowl. Before you start eating, just sit, enjoying the look and smell of the food. Take your first bite. Notice the smell as you bring it to your mouth. As you chew, notice the texture of the food. Is it wet or dry? What temperature? Are there different flavors in different parts of your mouth? Different textures? How do they change as you chew? Notice the beginning, middle, and end of each bite. Put down your fork or spoon between bites. Just be with each bite. There is no need to rush. Look at the colors, shapes, and textures of the meal between bites. Notice how the appearance changes. Look at each spoonful as you raise it to your mouth. Notice the sounds of your chewing and the environment. I remember one retreat meal where the quiet of the meditation hall was interrupted by the crunch, crunch, crunch of 50 people chewing slightly undercooked green beans. We all broke out laughing. If your thoughts wander, come back to the physical sensations of eating. Sit for a couple minutes after eating and enjoy the feeling of a full belly. Take the time to mindfully clean up after eating to complete the practice. I predict you will feel full from eating less food than usual because you are feeding all of the senses. While you may not want to do this for every meal, it can actually increase a sense of shared intimacy when done with friends and family. It is a great way to reduce stress. This is not about becoming a foodie. It can be done with the most basic of foods and still be a rich feast for the senses. The meal itself is a creation and may lead to other creative expressions based on your experience. Contemplation, your sensory experience. How do your sense perceptions impact what you create?
Marion.
How do your senses
Kitty.
enrich your life?
Kitty.
How do your senses
Kitty.
wake you up?
Marion.
Write about a sensory experience that remains vivid from your wander. Chapter 4. Appreciating Everyday Life. If we open our eyes, our minds, our hearts, we will find that this world is a magical place. It is magical not because it tricks us or changes unexpectedly into something else, but because it can be so vividly and brilliant. Jumbar Rinpoche. Shambhala, the sacred path of the warrior. For my 50th birthday, I attended my first month-long meditation group retreat. Each day consisted of 4 periods of meditation interspersed with physical activity, talks, contemplative meals, and chores. Much of the retreat was in silence, and yet there was a sense of community. Life became very basic with this routine. There were many moments of boredom and physical pain, along with peace and delight. People often ask me how I could sit for 28 days. I tell them I didn't do it for 28 days. I did it one moment at a time, discovering along the way that whatever I was experiencing was not permanent. That realization made it possible. By the 3rd week, my allegiance shifted from the chatter of my mind, which alternated between critique, fantasy, and wanting another now, to the vaster space in which all of this was happening. My eyes, heart, and mind opened to the world, and I saw how being could be so vivid and brilliant. The safety of a supportive container at the retreat center helped me to relax. Still, it took courage to be that open and vulnerable, even with myself. Being open to the vividness of life on its terms was challenged only months later when I underwent heart bypass surgery. My creative life at that time was consumed with managing my fine art knitwear business. Just as I was preparing for the major wholesale show of the year, life came to a screeching halt when the surgery literally cracked my chest open. Depression followed in the months after the surgery. I was forced to rethink my creative process, business, and life's direction as the days of discomfort turned into weeks. Lying on the couch, feeling fragile and bored, I became acutely aware of my senses. I noticed the quality of light in the room, the brilliant colors of the get well bouquets, and the texture of my robe. Being accustomed to not much happening from the retreat experience, I began looking contemplatively at the world around me. I found there a vividness of being that inspired me to live the magic of everyday life. I first noticed the afternoon light on an orchid. I was captivated by the iridescent glow through its petals. Looking more closely, I picked up my camera to record what I saw. Photography became a tool for my recovery, teaching me to see clearly. I realized my images would be the only record of the flower's life in full bloom, now long gone. Their life fed mine and helped me to heal. As I continued looking at the flowers, I photographed the beauty of their dying process too. I discovered that the vivid energy I received from the flower had more to do with my quality of attention than its inherent vitality. Magic is present all around us, as much in dying petals and ordinary moments as in fresh flowers and transcendent experiences. I had the good fortune to participate in a month-long retreat, yet my awareness was honed initially by practicing meditation daily at home. You may already be noticing greater awareness in your daily life thanks to meditation. Regular practice will strengthen your ability to stay awake and present. Opening your senses can be delightful and inspiring, yet it can also be painful and even overwhelming at times. It takes courage to stay awake. Keeping the mind and body connected is challenging, especially when we want our experience to be other than it is. Contemplation. Staying open to your experience. What scares you the most about being open to all your experiences? How has meditation helped you be present for more of your life? How does experiencing pain and pleasure impact your creative process? Describe a vivid and brilliant experience you had that led to a creative expression. If it has, how has your art been part of your healing process? Our day-to-day life is shaped by habitual patterns that can dull our awareness. Yet flashes of perception, like the light through the orchid's petals, can break through our shell, inviting us to experience the vividness of the phenomenal world. By relating to ourselves and things as they are, we develop the courage to be awake and open to simply being. When we do, the most commonplace of experiences are magical. As Henry Miller wrote, "The moment one gives close attention to anything, even a blade of grass, it becomes a mysterious, awesome, indescribably magnificent world in itself." Most of life is spent with the minutiae of the mundane. We go through the motions, but how much of it are we aware of? How often are we lost in reminiscing about highlights from our past or planning for a better future? Rather than striving for a particular outcome or distracting ourselves with various forms of entertainment, we can open to our experience as it is right now. As Shejongjonba Rinpoche once said, "Since we are here, why not be here?" When we bring inquisitive awareness to daily life, we find inspiration for our art. Activity. Ordinary magic photography. Use a smartphone or camera to record moments when the ordinary magic of the world touches your heart and wakes you up. We reach for our phones anyway to share our story, to declare, "I am here." I encourage you with this exercise to record moments of vividness that you might normally overlook. What in the phenomenal world is quietly calling out to say, "Look at me"? Take time to see it. Take a picture of that. This is not about taking an arty shot. Rather, it is about taking the time to actually look and see your everyday world as it is. Let the image come to you. Place Place your camera beside your bed the night before doing this activity. On day 1 of this 5-day challenge, when you wake up, take a photograph of what you first noticed is vivid while still in bed. Then take another image while sitting on the edge of the bed. Take one more in the bathroom, another as you dress, and a final one at breakfast. On day 2, repeat this activity, taking 5 pictures at the end of the day. On day 3, take 5 pictures throughout your workday, including lunch. On day 4, take 5 pictures randomly when you notice yourself reaching for the phone as a distraction or babysitter. On day 5, compile your images into a montage, either on your computer or a large sheet of paper. Reflect and write down any insights using the following prompts. What did you discover? What did you see for the first time that was probably there all along? How did each day, time, differ? How were they the same? What experiences were most vivid? How did this activity affect your experience of the day? Were there any moments when you were bored? How did boredom affect what you photographed? Were you inspired to notice and photograph other moments in your day? How did the activity change your relationship to your phone and the world, if at all?